the GOAT TV dad to me is Cliff Huxtable. Cliff Huxtable from the Cosby Show. Okay.
Yeah.
I say that because there were so many different life lessons that he was able to teach his kids. And I think he had 3 daughters. Let's see, no, 4 daughters. He had Sandra,
Don't ask me.
Denise, Rudy, and Vanessa. And then he had Malcolm Jamal Warner was the name of the actor, but Theo was the name of the son. And there was so many different classic episodes where he was teaching his kids so many different things. So much so that TV show spawned A Different World, which was all about, the things that happened at Hillman College. I love that character. I loved how he would get upset and how he would still discipline his kids and it would seem to be the right way. He provided so many life lessons to them with his girls and his son. I just think he was dope. I really do.
I really can't argue with you saying that Cliff Huxtable was the GOAT. It's terrible that, Bill Cosby's actions outside of the show has really put a bad light on that show and that character.
Right.
Because, it was. I mean, he was America's dad. I mean, not talking about not America's black dad. He was America's dad. All colors, all different types of people looked at Cliff Huxtable like he was the guy. And I think that's why when all the allegations and stuff came out against Bill Cosby, I think that's what kind of hit everybody so hard. It was like, no, not him. Not the guy we used to watch on TV. It's no way that Cliff could be like that. So I can't argue that. I can't argue that.
So who do you say? Who do you say?
I figured that you probably wouldn't want to go with him. And now I got to pick from my era, so it's a little bit different. I can't say that I grew up watching The Cosby Show. I can't say that I grew up watching Good Times. Yeah, the reruns were on, but that wasn't my thing, right?
Right.
The dad that I watched faithfully, was Mr. Banks from Fresh Prince.
Okay.
Now, Uncle Phil.
Okay.
Uncle Phil, to me, as far as TV sitcoms, he was the dad of all dads. I mean, it was just real life stuff to me. He had a hard-headed nephew. Now, he's living out in Bel Air. He's living a good life. And he has a troubled nephew all on the East Coast. And he's like, we're going to bring him out here to California and he's going to live with us. First of all, he takes on that responsibility.
Right.
Because even though it's Vivian's sister's child, dad still got to get an okay. Like, she could have came to him and he said, nah, we can't do that, honey. We're not going to be able to do that.
Right.
But he said, yeah, he brought him in there. And then I look at like all the personalities that he had to manage in that household. First of all, he got one wife that turns into another wife. That's crazy in itself. And then you got Will that's on one side, and then you got Carlton on the other side. They are totally like polar opposites of each other.
True.
And he kept them
very true
from, just ripping each other apart. And then these jokers became like best friends. They were.
Yeah, they did.
They were tight by the end of that. No separating them.
They did.
And then you got Hillary and all her. She just spoiled us all outdoors. And then you got the baby girl Ashley.
Yeah.
Then you got a butler in there that you paying, and he smart with you. Anytime he give a chance, he's gonna give you some extra lip, and you paying his salary, letting him
He
live with
did.
you. I gotta go with Uncle Phil, man. I gotta go with Uncle Phil. Uncle
Uncle
Phil's my
Phil.
guy.
Uncle Uncle Phil was my number two. I echo a lot of the same things that you said, and you like you said, it was one of those things with Uncle Phil where yeah, that was his nephew, but it was almost akin to like people who get married and they have stepchildren. He took someone else's kid
Hmm.
in, right,
Yeah.
and like raised that young man into a man. And that was that. I think that was so. I think that was dope. I think that was dope of him to be able to do that and to give him so many different experiences that he wouldn't have gotten had he stayed back home. And I just think that you saw the maturity that Will's character had from when he first got there to when he left. And so I
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
I think it was so excellent of
He
him
did.
to be a stand-up guy like that. Yeah, so yeah, for sure. He was my number two, but I had to go with Cliff Huxtable though. I had to go with Cliff Huxtable for my number
Yeah,
one. But
because
I'm not mad at Uncle Phil at all. I'm not.
yeah,
Not at
because
all.
I mean, Will, from where Will was when he first came until what he turned into when the show ended. I mean, he helped Will turn into a man. I mean,
Yeah.
he really did. And then even that episode where Will's dad had came back into his life, and Phil was feeling some type of way during that episode.
Right.
Like, man, I'm the one out here taking care of you, and you gonna like put me to the side. But kids, that's how they are with their dad. Sometimes, like they missed a lot of time with them, and they trying to make up time. They just, kids want to be with their dads.
Mhm.
It is what it is, and um, I think everybody remembers that moment in TV where Will was just crying and like, "Why you don't want me?" And
Yeah.
he was so upset with his dad, and Uncle Phil was right there for him. He's like, "Yeah." I mean, he didn't say it, but it was like, "Yeah, your dad's not here, but I'm here."
Yeah. Yeah.
He can't. I mean, he could never take Will's dad's place, but he did a great job of being there for support with Will, throughout that series.